So what's patentable in SaaS? You get this a lot as a patent attorney. A company will come to you and say, here's our tech, we want a patent. But there's typically many different aspects of technology that could be filed for patent protection. So technical implementations, things like data structures, machine learning scoring approaches, fraud filters, the system architecture as a whole. So we've got a few examples listed, but how is your system set up? That could be covered under a patent. User experience and back-end information flows can be covered by patents. User interfaces, would also be a part of that. Your security and privacy protocols, and deployment and integration. How are you actually delivering, your product? Chances are you're doing it in a unique way, and if that's the case, then it's potentially patentable. A framework that I like, that I find to be easy to chew on and easy to implement and easy to convey to other people, like your investors, goes something like this. Instead of initially jumping in, okay, what do we have, what can we patent, what's important, take a step back, forget about the tech, forget about patents, and put yourself in your customer's shoes. So from a customer's perspective, what is it about the experience that you're delivering that is compelling? What makes them open their checkbook, give you money? What makes them come back? What keeps them as loyal customers? What is it about your process that compels them to refer you to their friends? Think about that experience. What is it specifically about that experience that makes it unique, that makes it better than your competitors? And write those things down. It might be 1, 2, 3, or 4 things, whatever the case may be. But once you've identified those aspects of the customer experience that your customers value the most, then start thinking about patents. So what technologies have you developed? What's the technical lifts that enable those different compelling aspects of the user experience? And it's those technical lifts that likely give the most business value to your company if they're protected by patents. So just an easy way to sort of think about and approach and try to start to figure out, what do we patent? What do we have here that's worth anything? What should we invest our time and money in to pursue patent protection on? Avoid the thin trap, thin provisionals. So the thing about provisionals is that there are no requirements. Like, you could literally scan a coaster that you picked up at a bar, file that as a provisional patent application, get a priority date, get a serial number. But the thing is, you only get protection for what you actually disclosed. So in a more realistic example, if you file like a slide deck that has some kind of bullet points on your technology, that may not be considered an enabling disclosure. And if it's not an enabling disclosure, the provisional patent will give you no benefit whatsoever. So it's really important when you're filing provisional patent applications, to file a real patent application, one that kind of covers all of the legal requirements that would be required for non-provisional. What I would tell clients is that the decision between filing as a provisional or a non-provisional is not a document strategy, it is a filing strategy. So there are reasons to file a provisional application, but one of those reasons shouldn't be I can just file something very informal and thin, I guess. All right. So some portfolio math for startups. So we are entering a new world. I mean, when I practiced, and it's still kind of the case today with a lot of traditional law firms, the market rates for preparing and filing a patent application, just to put together the documents and get it on file, just to get you patent pending, it's $10,000 to $15,000. And for an early stage company, especially, say you're pre-funding or you've got 100K in angel funding or something, that's real money. And so the decision was traditionally, okay, we've got this tiny amount of resources. We know we need to file before we start pitching investors or going to trade shows. What is the one or two most important things that we can cover? And the math is totally different today. Idea Clerk, for example, gives patent documents that are on par with the biggest, flashiest law firms out there, but for about 1% of the price. So our documents are under $100 each. And so that totally changes the thinking. If there's no longer that financial barrier to filing patent applications, it's just a matter of kind of self-discipline and doing it. The incentives are changed from what one or two things can we afford to file, and it's now what can we cover? Let's file early and often, and have a plan around that. So typically, at these price levels, a pre-seed or seed company can easily cover, 3 or half dozen or so patent applications per quarter. It doesn't necessarily mean that they need to convert all of those to non-provisionals, but as I mentioned earlier, that's preserving the optionality. So they may wish to, at 12 months, the product has shifted and they no longer need to pursue one of those patent applications. They can just not convert it and it will just go away. Or they may decide to keep that information as a trade secret and not convert it. But by filing the provisional application, you preserve that optionality. There are also, other strategies for kind of containing the prosecution costs associated with non-provisional applications. So let's say you filed six provisional patent applications that are closely related. They're all kind of about the same, technical aspect of your offering. Those patent applications could be combined. Those provisional patent applications could be combined in a single non-provisional application. They call that strategy provisional netting. But even in that case, you are preserving all of that original subject matter, all of those original filing dates. So the provisional file early, file often strategy is extremely powerful, particularly when there's no financial barrier to doing that. When it comes down the line, Series A, you start getting more strategic. I think it still makes sense in most cases to continue that provisional filing strategy, locking in those early dates. It's essentially real-time protection. You innovate, you protect it. You innovate, you protect it. You're getting the earliest possible filing date for your innovations, and then you can choose, how you want to pursue those, at that 12-month date. So a quick review: myths and power moves for startups. Go through the myths first. So these are things that you can consider skipping. The first is we'll search for months before we file. Prior art searching is something that is often advised for filing patent applications. It's a couple reasons to kind of reconsider that thinking. One is, the only search that actually matters is the one that the examiner performs at the patent office. And so the search that you perform is more of a go, no go decision. We'll invest a few $1,000s in a search, and that will inform our decision whether we want to invest another $15,000 in a patent application. Well, if you're not investing that $15,000 in a patent application, instead you're investing $100 or whatever it may be to get that document on file, the equation just changes. It makes less sense to search. Another thing is anything you turn up during a search has to be reported to the patent office. If you fail to report it to the patent office, then any eventual patent you get can be invalidated on those grounds. Another reason to reconsider it is, let's say you discover a patent that you're infringing. Well, at that point, you're a knowing infringer. And if you are ever sued for patent infringement, then you would be subject to what's called treble damages. So whatever the damages should be, they're multiplied by 3. So some strong arguments for reconsidering kind of the traditional advice of doing a patentability search prior to filing. The next is let's file later when the code stabilizes. So with patents, you don't actually have to have made something that works. You need to just be able to describe it. So if you can describe what you're going to make or what you're thinking about making in an enabling way, that is sufficient for filing a patent. You don't have to wait until the product is perfected. Waiting until the product is perfected just kind of pushes out that priority date when you could have filed much earlier. Last one page is enough for a provisional. One page you could file that, but as I mentioned earlier, you're not going to get any benefit out of that when it converts to a non-provisional. Better moves for a startup. Think about the customer experience. You want patents are business tools. You want patents that bring value to the business, and by monopolizing the compelling customer experience you provide, that kind of gives you a monopoly. If no other competitor can offer a similar customer experience, then you have no competitors. That's kind of the idea behind this framework, the framework that I mentioned earlier. You want to protect the enablers. So what are the patents that are enabling that customer experience? And again, I say it over and over again, file early. Get your applications on file as early as you can. That is just very important, and it's becoming more and more important as technology continues.